Hello, Tumblr followers and YouTubers. I'm going to preface this by saying that if you are following my blog and watching my videos, I'm not here to make you feel good. ENTPs are not known for going out of their way to make people feel good. I'm here to talk about MBTI. Now, recently, I was asked a question about ENTP, INFP dynamics and relationships, which I've answered a number of times and happily have done so. And so I referred someone to my relationship FAQ about dating ENTPs. Very valid, I think. And I was then asked what I dislike about INFPs. So I very clearly stated what I dislike about INFPs. Now, I love many things about INFPs. In fact, many of the things I hate about INFPs are things I like about INFPs, such as their emotional sensitivity, their complicating of things, etc. Again, they're also things I hate. So if you think I'm a pretentious ass, or you think I'm arrogant, or, you think that I'm a guy that would, fuck a girl and then call her a slut, well, you're wrong about that at least. But that's your prerogative, and I'm not going to try to change your mind. I'm going to tell you to not fucking follow me. Anyway, the whole reason I would like to make this video is to talk about how Tony Stark is not an ENTP, or rather not an ENTJ, I'm sorry, my apologies, and how I'm fairly certain, about 99% certain, that Robert Downey Jr. is an ENTP. Now, it was called to my attention that Tony Stark is focused. He's obviously very goal-oriented, much like many extroverted intuitives, and also like many extroverted thinkers. And this is a valid point to make. However, Tony Stark does not share many of the typical ENTJ traits. And I would also like to add that fictional characters are actually very hard to type. They are normally isolations of elements of, different personality types mixed together, which can make them very hard to type. They're not real, they're not human, no matter how human they may appear. So, I'm inclined to say that Tony Stark is an ENTP, first and foremost, because, yes, he is focused, but ENTPs can be focused, but he has this idealistic nature about him that is more particular to ENTPs than it is ENTJs. ENTJs tend to be much more grounded in their pursuits. They tend to be more pragmatic and, I don't want to quite say rational, but maybe just a little more practical overall, and this is due to their first function of extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking is a very practical function, while Tony Stark is a very practical man all in all, or fictional man, I should say. He is much more idealistic and gut-driven, and this is probably due to the fact that he is a very stereotypically either Enneagram 7 or Wing 7, more than likely an 8-wing 7 if he's a Wing 7 at all in Enneagram. So those are just kind of a few thoughts on Tony Stark. He also has the sort of ENTP charisma. You can see a lot of FE in his dealings with other people. He's very good at connecting with people in a way that is... It goes beyond extroversion. It's tapping into the empathetic side of extroverted feeling, or the third function of ENTPs. Robert Downey Jr., again, a real human being. Of course, I haven't met him, so I can only say so much about him other than, or pertaining to what I've read about him. But the general sense I get from him is, again, that very idealistic nature. His way of expressing himself is very extroverted intuition, introverted thinking, those first two functions. He's much less domineering, direct, like an ENTJ. I've never met an ENTJ that sugarcoats things. When I'm telling someone they're a fuck up, I'm like, hey, you do a lot of this stuff wrong, and I think you should do it differently. One of my ENTJ friends is essentially like, you're a fuck up. You need to get your shit together. This is how you're going to do it. He's very direct, very cut forward. He is very Enneagram 8 as well. So these are just some of my thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark. And again, it's valid to think that either of them could be ENTJ. Probably more valid to think that Tony Stark is an ENTJ, but again, he just doesn't have that blunt, forthright, just kind of assholishness that many ENTJs have, which isn't, you know, always a bad thing. It's just how extroverted thinking tends to articulate itself. You know, you see it in ESTJs, ISTJs, sometimes in INTJs when they're actually telling you what they think of you. When an INTJ actually tells you what they think of you, they'll be very, you know, boom, this is what I think. I'm TE, you know, you're a fuck up. Or, I hate you. Or X, Y, and Z. Just very direct, very clear. Versus ENTPs, which are far less clear and much more tapping into that FE, either as a manipulative force or as just a way to communicate with people on a more empathetic or emotional level. So again, those are my thoughts. And in closing, if I have offended anyone, please feel free to unfollow me. I won't feel offended at all. Actually, I'll probably be quite pleased. And for those of you who do not like the answers that I provide to you, my deepest apologies, as I'm not sorry at all. And when I say I'm an asshole, I actually mean that I'm an asshole, and I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to talk about MBTI and to inform you about something that I've been studying for the last 6 years of my life. And if you think that's pretentious, that's fine. That's your loss. You can go study other asshole-ish people if you would like.